Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Integrity Racing Show. Episode 22, I believe, we're doing tonight after a week off. We have some catching up to do. As you can look around and see, there's no Todd. Usually he's all ready to go, but I believe he's on his way back from some football refereeing, so he won't be joining us tonight. But I do have a guest tonight in Lance Gentles. He'll be joining us, and we'll talk about a few different things. So welcome, Lance. It's good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So we're going to jump right into it here, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of go back a couple weeks since we missed last Thursday night. I wanted to go ahead and post the results from Chicago, which is our first chase race that we had this year. As you look at the results, Matt Busa really had a dominating performance a couple Monday nights ago with the win and leading 115 laps for the night. Second place went to Marcus Lambert, who had a strong run after a few weeks off during the middle part of our season once he locked up a win earlier in the season. So he came back in form to start the chase. Andrew Fayash was in third position. Adam de Blasio took home fourth, and fifth went to Tyler Herr. Obviously, as you look down through the top 10, everyone except for Matt Busa in the top 10 was a chase driver. That was the first week of the chase there at Chicago, and drivers were really on top of things trying to battle for position. I know given our race that we had for the guys in Integrity Racing Team who were in the chase, it was really about pit strategy for most of the night. Drivers were trying to set themselves up for the end and get the right amount of timing for the race, when to come in, how long to stay out, and how effective the fresh tires would be for that. Very interesting race. Only 3 cautions on the night, but 7 lead changes between 7 drivers. Most of those obviously were through pit stop changes, but all in all, it was a pretty decent race. As you look through the standings there, Lance, do you see anybody who pops out to you as somebody who might have set the tone for the chase for the championship so far as we look at Chicago?
Big threat. I mean, he's always good. No matter where we go, he's fast. So I'd be looking out for him.
I got you there. And you were muted at the right beginning. Who are you mentioning there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about Fayash. Fayash is usually the guy that's going to set the tone for the chase. It doesn't matter where we go. He's just the guy to beat. Unless Boos is there, then he's the guy to beat.
Yeah, the pros kind of trade off on who's going to dominate from week to week, it looks like. But you never know what can happen in these races, that's for sure. Before we got into the chase races, we had basically 16 different winners through the course of a 26-race regular season. 14 of those were eligible for the chase. So definitely have some diversity and variety throughout the standings there. So that was basically Chicago. We kind of wrapped that up pretty quick there. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our standings from New Hampshire, which is our most recent race for the chase, our round 2, if you will, for the Challenger round. And I'll bring that up real quick here. This particular race had a very similar complexion to it. There was a couple cautions early on, and then a long green flag run until about 3 or 4 laps to go. And as you can see, the results there don't exactly show everything that happened, but you can see Andrew Fayash took the win, the first chase driver to kind of claim his spot in the championship. Coming home with a solid second-place finish is Christopher Schützler, who is a non-chase driver, but showed a very strong performance. And if not for the last few laps of Andrew running him back down, had a very good chance at winning the race. Yours truly was able to come in third with a strong run. Kind of had a similar pit strategy as Chris. Fourth went to Matt Bontempi, and fifth went to Colton Lands. Tell us, Lance, a little bit how your race went. You were with us this past Monday night, and kind of just give us an overview of how things went for you.
Things weren't terrible until that long green run at the end when I overcooked it into a corner and spun down, bounced it off the tires. So, my first race back from vacation was not the best showing I've had all year.
Yeah, it was definitely very interesting to see the longer green flag run. And I think, I know for myself, kind of got a little caught off guard with how well the tires came in for the different drivers. I stayed out basically for the last 60 or 70 laps or so. We could make it on fuel, and I was somewhat surprised to see that the likes of Andrew and Colton and Cody Smith, who had a great run at New Hampshire, chose to stay out, or excuse me, chose to pit halfway through the run, and then was able to run us back down, make up basically a full lap, if not more. What did you think about the different tire strategies and pit strategies throughout the night?
See, I was on one of those stay out and wait it out strategies, and it just didn't work out for anybody that did that. We found ourselves inside the top 10, and all of a sudden, here comes all these guys that ducked into the pits and took tires. So it wasn't the right call, and I paid for it ultimately in the end.
Yeah, I know for Chris and I, we had the best chance to make it work. I had the lead there for about a good 20 laps or so, and then the leaders started to come. I knew we weren't going to be able to hold Andrew off, and I know how badly Chris wanted to win Monday night, as he's had a lot of bad luck earlier in the year. But we got lucky in the fact that the caution came out with about 3 or 4 to go, and like I mentioned, Colton and Cody, and I believe I want to say the other one was Marcus, were coming right up on us to pass us, and probably would have had us if they had that extra 4 laps. But luckily, we were able to kind of make the best of a tricky situation and come up with a second and third place finish there. But overall, I do want to say really quickly, it was a good race. I appreciate everyone that came out this past Monday night and made it a good race. We had over 30 people once again, and we've kind of been maintaining that the past few weeks around that 30 to 35 range. While we'd love to have a full field, it's still very strong numbers, especially for this late in the season. With that, really quickly, I do want to add, kind of as the admin segment, if you will, we did have one appeal over the race Monday night, and it was the first caution of the night, which was between Mark Robertson was assigned the caution at the time, and that was appealed, and the admins voted to overturn that. So his caution will be taken away, and he'll be basically put back to 0 cautions. And other than that, it was a pretty smooth race. So nothing to really complain about, or nothing, no major issues or anything like that. So hopefully that'll be the case throughout the rest of the chase races. But I'm sure as we get closer to some cutoffs, which our first one will be next week, I'm willing to bet there'll be a little bit of tempers flaring here and there, especially when we get around Daga or Martinsville, somewhere like that. But hopefully we'll keep it pretty smooth here for the next few weeks. With the chase races being mentioned, let me go ahead and bring up those standings, and we'll kind of talk about that for a minute, because they're very interesting. At least I think they're anyway. Basically, if you take a look, hopefully it's big enough for you guys. With his win, Andrew Fayash is currently locked in for this round, so he's good to go for Dover. He can sit out, he can ride in the back, whatever works best for him. He's good to go. The rest of us are, in some way, shape, or form, got to work for it. Some of us are more comfortable than others, but we'll take a look at the cut line area where you see Colton Lands, who has 2 wins during the regular season, is only 9 points away from the cut line. Brian Terry is in 12th place. He holds the last transfer position and is 2 points ahead of Nicholas Ward, 5 points ahead of Michael Dool, 7 points ahead of William Dunn, and then Brendan Burkroft is, and you might not be able to see it there, but Brendan Burkroft is 8 points behind the cut line. As you look at the chase grid here, Lance, kind of give me your thoughts on the chase grid as a whole, and then kind of what you think of the guys who are currently sitting in that red zone, so to speak, the danger zone.
Well, there's definitely some surprises back there in the danger zone. Dunn, Dool, and Ward are always threats, and typically up front. Just some bad luck for those guys. and they're done. A little bit of good luck and some bad luck on part of the others. I think we might we'll probably see one or two of those guys creep back into the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how Dover goes. I know if you were paying attention to the comments on the side there, you could probably see where Nick and Burcroft are going back and forth on who's going to win. And I kind of made the joke on the side they'll probably wreck each other with 10 to go. But I hope not. For the record, I'm not condoning that. But but I mean, it's going to be really intense to see who is able to transfer on. As you mentioned, Lance, there's 4 drivers there who are all capable of moving on to the next round and have plenty of speed really to make it and have a shot for the final round or the final 2 rounds. So, you know, as we look at that, and we'll kind of talk about it later here when we talk about Dover, we'll kind of get into who we think might actually make it to the next round. And then we'll kind of get an opinion from Lance on who might win it all. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit with Lance and kind of get to know him a little bit better. So, so Lance, first of all, once again, thank you for coming tonight. As usually, we have a little bit more discussion, but since it's just you and me, we're kind of going back and forth a little bit. But just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and maybe what you do, or some basics about yourself that we may not know.
Well, I'm 38 years old, be 39 here very shortly. I live in Williston, North Dakota, in the heart of oil country, originally from the southern part of Illinois, which is basically the armpit of the universe. Spent some time over in Iraq as a civilian contractor and came back and picked up chasing the money, came up here to North Dakota. Love it up here. I'm a computer technician for county government, and that's me. I've got limited hobbies. If I never had to leave the house, I wouldn't.
I got you. So what? Well, since you brought it up, what kind of attracts you about North Dakota? I think for most of us who maybe live out on the East Coast, the West Coast, when we think of North Dakota, we think of wide open spaces, so to speak, and we might be right or completely wrong. But what do you love about North Dakota?
Well, it's really quiet up here. Most of the locals are very friendly, really accepting people, and I met a local girl up here and got married a couple of years into me being here, and it's a beautiful country. And you're right, for the most part, it's wide open spaces. I mean, you could, if your dog runs away, you can watch it run away for 3 weeks straight across the field. That's the big joke here, but it's definitely way more peaceful, way more pretty, and way colder than Southern Illinois.
I got you. So you and I are friends on Facebook, and we've kind of talked about different things. One of the things I know you like to do, and we've kind of talked about a little bit, you like to do some autocross stuff. I think you recently took one of your cars out and did some autocross stuff and things like that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, once or twice a year, me and a good friend, we make a 10-hour trip from Williston, North Dakota to Brainerd, Minnesota. And there's a beautiful race facility out there that they run. They have a nice NHRA drag strip, one of the fastest in the country. They have a 2.5-mile competition road course and a 3.5-mile, they call it the Donnybrook road course. They don't run that very often because the main straightaway there is the drag strip. But they've got a nice big area where they do autocross. They bring the drifters out there, but drifting is to racing as botulism is to Campbell soup. But yeah, I run autocross, and my friend and I both run the 2.5-mile competition course. This year, I was able to shave 2.5 seconds off my best time from previous attempts, so I was pretty happy with that. I've got a 2015 Scion TC that I take out there and try not to destroy.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, we've had a conversation or two about his autocross and me getting in a jump car, and you have a lot more to lose than I do with your car for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but it's definitely interesting stuff to get into. I think anybody who has the opportunity, whether it's with something like a what we call a crap can series like Chump Car Lemons, or who could do autocross, if you had the opportunity to do it, I would definitely take it up. And just for the experience, if anything else, especially um, with Chump Car and stuff, like when you're able to do it with friends and kind of have that team mentality behind it, it's pretty cool. Um, so what got you into sim racing and iRacing, and then I noticed kind of leading into that, you have the I can't remember what it's called now, but you posted on Facebook earlier today on our league page. You have the I guess it's a virtual reality, one of those deals like the Oculus Rift. I know it's not that, but something close to it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Have you tested it out yet?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been mucking around with it. I started getting everything set up last night. There's a couple of sensors that you have to put up in the corners of your room to kind of get a. They shoot lasers at the headset and track it around.
Oh wow.
The initial out of box setup for it is, if you don't have some technical aptitude, it's kind of tough. Fortunately, that's my profession. I was able to knock it out fairly quickly, but it's really neat. I'm going to have a complete write up on it here, probably after the weekend, as to my experience, the complete overall experience from unboxing to actually just sitting down in the car and turning some laps with it for the first time.
Cool deal. And yeah, definitely you'll have to post that on our league page. I'm sure there are a lot of people, myself included, who would like to see what that's all about and how different it is. I saw on YouTube not too long ago, actually last week, come think of it, a guy who was running the F1 2016 with that, and it looks surreal. How he was able to look around and see everything as if it was real life, basically. Well, obviously virtual reality, but anyway, um, I will state the obvious. But no, that looks pretty awesome. I can't wait to see how that turns out for you. Um, the one thing I definitely wanted to get to tonight, we kind of talked about a little bit pre show, is you have a charity deal you're getting ready to do here in the coming weeks. Why don't you expand a little bit about that and kind of tell us how that works?
So every November, there is an organization that gets together. They're called Extra Life, and you can find them at extra-life.org. And what it is, it's a 24-hour video game, board game, tabletop, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever you want to play. It's a 24-hour marathon, and all the money raised through this event goes to Children's Miracle Network's hospitals. The one we sponsor is a cancer hospital in Fargo, North Dakota, and I think last year we raised about $1,000. Just pre-registration this year, I think we've already got $100 on our team site, and we really look forward to it. It's exhausting. You think 24 hours of gaming sounds like it's nothing, but it's tough. It's hard to do, but that's I'm really proud of our team. Every year we get together and tough it out and raise some money for some kids with some potentially life-threatening illnesses.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. There. Why don't you do you have the screen share of that? We can put the website up there real quick, and you show the viewers so they can kind of get an idea of where to go. And we'll post a link actually. Well, you'll see it once I shut up, but we'll post a link on our league page as well, so people can kind of get a link to that and kind of learn a little bit more about it.
Yep. The basic description is you should be able to see it now. It's just the extra-life.org, and you can join a team or start a team. We have our own team that we do. It's called the Rabid Herd of Boxing. Ridiculous name, started by our founder, and he's a really good guy that I actually work for him. But anything that you want to find out about it is all listed on this web page, and it's a really good thing. And I encourage anybody that enjoys computer gaming and has the time to spend on November 5th of this year, doing a 24-hour marathon, to participate if you can.
Yeah, that is really awesome, and it's, I would imagine it's kind of similar to, I know you and I did the, what race? Oh, shoot. Spa. Thank you.
Yeah.
We were in the 24 hours of Spa together. You raced for Defoe Racing, and we had our own team in Integrity. And I would imagine it's kind of similar. You get breaks when you do the Spa races, where you can kind of rest here and there. But I can imagine it's probably a similar experience, um, as far as length of time and, how tired you are at the end.
Yeah, you tend to be at the end of it very exhausted. It starts at I think 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. It ends at 8 o'clock Sunday morning, and I tend to make it the whole time with breaks. They allow for breaks for lunch and bathroom and basic human needs. They're not locking you to a chair for 24 hours. But
I got you. And when were the dates for that one last time? And then we'll head on.
the event for this year is Saturday, November 5th. So if anybody who feels like sign up at least before the 4th, and get with it. Raise some money for some unfortunate young children that need your help.
Mm-hmm. Certainly a worthy cause for sure. Well, once again, I want to thank you, Lance, for coming on tonight. We're going to talk about a couple other things that we'll include you in, obviously, since I'm not going to bloviate about myself the whole time. But I do sincerely want to thank you for being our guest tonight, for the show. So with that, we're going to go ahead and look ahead to our Rookie of the Year standings real quick, and I'll pop them up on the screen there. As we've kind of talked about the past few weeks, Adam has a commanding lead over the Rookie of the Year standings, as different things have happened to different people, it seems like. I know Burcroft has had some computer issues. I know Brad Wren is moving altogether, and we're not even sure if he's going to be back next year. Ken is the one person I'll give him tons of credit, and Adam posted it up. I don't have it right now, but Adam posted the Clean Driver Award, who shows up every week. He may not be the fastest person, but he certainly is the cleanest one. I can guarantee you that right about now. So I looked at that right before we started our show, and I think Kent has everybody beat in the clean driver competition by a good 2 incident points. He's under 2, and everybody else is floating with 4. So, but he's very consistent, as you see here. He's 3rd in the Rookie of the Year standings. Obviously, as I mentioned, Adam's kind of taken off with it. But what do you think about the list of rookies we have here this year, Lance? As you are somebody who raced with us a majority last year, and after a little bit of time off, has come back and joined us for the latter half of the season.
I think the current crop of rookies are pretty amazing. Like you said, Kent might not be the fastest guy out there, but he's clean and courteous and friendly. Doesn't say a whole lot, but I think the only way to take this thing away from De Blasio is have him discover what women are and start chasing them.
So there's still hope.
There's still hope. There's still hope.
Yeah, that's true. He's got a pretty firm lockup of that situation there, and he's done a great job all year. So if he is able to come away with it, then he's definitely earned it. That's for sure. So let's, as we've looked at that, let's go ahead and move on to looking ahead at Dover. We'll real quickly pull up last year's results from Dover. And as you can see, Jeff Ramsdale was able to take the win last year. He was a non-chaser at that point. Nick Ward was your 2nd place finisher. William Dunn was 3rd place. Matt Busa was 4th, and Trevor Dalton was 5th. I think as you look at the standings, I think Nick and William are definitely going to have a repeat performance this coming Monday night. Otherwise it's going to be a tough road to hoe for them to kind of get over the hump and get back into the top 12. Lance, as we head into Dover, what kind of standings in mind, who do you think might have the best opportunity of the bottom four between Dool and Dunn and Ward and Burcroft? Who do you think might make their way back into the top 12?
I think Dunn and Dool honestly have the best shot to make their way back into the top 12, and that's taken nothing away from Burkhoff or who am I forgetting? Ward. It's taken nothing away from them. I think when it comes down to brass tacks, Dool and Dunn will push as hard as they need to get back in.
Yeah, I think both of them have definitely shown where they can be performing at a high level. A lot of people have chose Dunn to make it all the way to the last round, and I think very similar results were expected of Dool as well. So I think that's a fair assessment. So with Dover being our last round of the Challenger round, a couple things I do want to bring up real quick, and then we'll kind of get Lance's thoughts on the championship overall and who he think might make it all the way. But first of all, after Monday night's race, don't forget that we're going to have our live show, which we'll get a few guys in for a group discussion on how we thought the Dover race went in the first round overall. A couple guys who may not have made it all the way, we'll get some interviews with them, as well as some interviews with some of the guys who made it to the next round and what their expectations are as we head to whatever the next round is named. I forget what it is, for the 12 that go to 8. So be on the lookout for that. Remember, that's coming up. If you want to be a part of that show, make sure you're on TeamSpeak. So that's the way we kind of contact people to get them on the show. That's right after the race. And we'll talk about that as we get closer to Monday night. So with that being said, I've done a few laps at Dover so far. It's a pretty interesting track by and large on its own. But it's very touchy, I think is a fair way to describe that. Dover, for me, has always been a track where you've been able to attack the corners. But if you do too much of that, you kind of burn your right front off. So it's going to be a definite balance. And I have enough of a margin, luckily. I think I might ride around the back for most of the night and just stay out of trouble. But I know we talked pre-show that you haven't got any laps yet, Lance, but what do you think about Dover, and how do you like your chances there as far as getting a solid finish?
Solid finish is questionable given the strength of the fields that we have these days. There's a lot of good guys in the Integrity League, and it's really tough to finish up front. And me just coming back from an 8-month plus hiatus, I'm still on the learning curve. I'm still trying to get back into the swing of it. Dover's a really interesting track. It's not a smooth transition into the corner like it is at Bristol. There's that very steep drop off, and you have to float the car in and land it at the bottom and get that just right for lap after lap.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. I think that's the most challenging part, is doing that right. Because at one hand, if you turn in too hard early, you could get it loose and spin it out. On the other hand, if you don't land it correctly, you could push the car up the track, and if anybody's above you, you're pretty much toast. And then off corner is always interesting there too, once the car kind of gets back up in the air off the corner when you're full throttle. So going to be very interesting. A lot of stuff at play in terms of chase implications and people trying to get good finishes and make the best out of the remainder of their year if they haven't made the chase. And so it should be an exciting race, like I said, at the end of the first round. As we kind of looked at the chase standings from earlier in the show, kind of give us your thoughts of the rest of the way, Lance, and tell us what you think, maybe who has a chance to make it in the Final Four, and then who's your pick for the championship winner.
I think the Final Four is probably going to consist of Fayesh, obviously, probably yourself. I'm thinking Dunn is going to get his way back up in there, and the other one, I can't even begin to speculate. There's so many. There's so many up there that are excellent drivers, but you and Fayesh and Dunn are always ones to contend with out there.
Mm-hmm. And then I think you kind of alluded to it either. I might know the answer to this, but who do you think is your final winner?
I think Fayash took it last year, and I think unless something stupid happens, he's probably going to take it home this year.
Almost stupid happened last year, so anything's possible. If I'd have paid more attention, I could have been the champion last year. But that was a mess that last lap. But yeah, I pretty much agree with you with that. I'm not sure about myself, maybe, but the other we have a lot of top talent in this league and in the chase this year, so it's going to be very difficult to get to the last round, and it's going to be a battle to get there. It's a matter of surviving and advancing. I think it's the name of the game until you get down to the final 8 and then final 4 if you're lucky enough to get there. So that basically wraps up the show tonight. Once again, I want to thank Lance for coming on and being our guest tonight. Once again, give a reminder that there's no show Thursday night, this coming next Thursday night, because we will have our live show Monday night. So be sure to be at Dover for the race. And like I said, we plan to have a group discussion, and we'll plan that out here over the next couple of days. And we hope you're a part of it, if not for the show, for the race itself. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you at the track this coming Monday night. I hope you all have a good night.